everyone. We just somehow Instagram just shut us off. Let me see if I can bring Veronika back on. I was speaking with Veronika Miller. Again, this is my Instagram live show called The Third Phase. Let's see if we have anyone here that can join in. There's Veronika. Veronika? And talking along, all of a sudden we were cut off. So let's get Veronika back on with us. Friend, I do not know what happened.
We'll do a part one and part two.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works great. That works great.
Part one was the problem. Now we'll talk about the
Yeah,
solution.
yeah. All right. We had the problem and now the solution, Veronika.
Yeah.
So where were we? What surprised you most about this, and what you feel like people need to know, and what they can do?
What it was, and I'll be very unemotional about that. It was an unbelievable learning curve, and at the same time, I had my father living here. As well, who's now 83. So he had some hip issues and some other trials and tribulations as well. It's a big house, so it worked for us to accommodate all this. I had Julian here during the day. My job was covering the afternoons, the evenings, and the weekends and the nights. And the nights got kind of started wearing on me. So it becomes a friends and family thing. And
Yeah.
there's no slick solution, and there's no slick solution to how we design for these spaces, because we learned on the job every day.
Yeah.
We needed solutions. We needed to rig stuff, because you don't just pick up, ALS 911 and kind of come up with a whole host of products that will work, because they will work just like with a senior living with you. We all have
Right.
very specific needs. So there's no shame in not having all the answers or having not a strategy in place. But living in the spaces and really exploring everything, sometimes sitting in a wheelchair to do that. Again, that reminds me of design school, but traveling through a house with a walker, with a cane, with a wheelchair, to understand what somebody who might simply even temporarily be experiencing. That's just,
Right.
I always tell people to spend a week in your own guest room and figure
Yeah.
out what you're lacking. Live in those shoes for a minute and understand what you're running into, which drawer you can't open, which cabinet you can't open, which closet or door you can't open, and then adjust accordingly. Because whether you have a football injury or something long term, or just age, there's no shame in not knowing. There is no perfect solution. There's no package bundle that as a designer you can say, well, we're implementing this. There's best practices, which you
Yeah.
should always think about. They do not have to make a space less sexy at all if you do it right. I have a
Agree.
very sexy house, and it's now very, very accessible, and it's a 1940s house. So it was doable with style and beautifully. Did it solve all of Ian's problems? No, it didn't. And but we couldn't know.
Right.
And you just sort of make the most of it. But something that is really in my head a lot with some of the work we do at the moment is to say, as a community of designers, first and foremost, what are those opportunities? And I'm kind of looking at conversations about the great big wealth transfer, and I'm thinking, actually, the people that are sitting on that wealth would kind of like to not transfer that wealth anytime soon. They would like to live longer and with real style, because many of those cats were in the 60s and 70s, and they're cool. They're not old, and
Absolutely.
they don't even want to move to a country club, because they didn't spend their life growing up in a country club environment. We're running into some cool cats here that want to travel, that want to be cool. I keep thinking about, what would Mick Jagger do? Think about
Yeah.
somebody like Mick Jagger in his 80s. Are you going to send him to a senior living community, no matter how expensive? No. He might want this rock and roll version of aging. And so I think we have, as a design community, have permission to rethink this narrative, whether it's around something like ALS or whether it's aging in general, our own aging issues, or that of our parents. Just gives us an opportunity to really dream big and
Yeah.
use technology. Here is where it's not the home theater and it doesn't have to, you know, do silly things that I can do myself. The
Right.
technology can actually be really my best caregiver. And I feel like the home itself has an obligation to become part of our caregiving process.
Right.
And we're just in the infancy of that.
Yes. Well, and I think it's our age too that we're seeing that what we don't want. We're seeing what we absolutely don't want, and what then, as a designer now at my age, I'm beginning to look for the things that are sexy and are pretty and beautiful. Like, for example, the grab bars that my sponsor, Life Ballet, things like that. That was what I was looking for because, we don't want that. There is, we want the sexy. But during all this, Veronica, what did you do for self care?
Oh, nothing. Just went out. I couldn't walk when we went into this whole thing. I was absolutely no longer able to walk from here to the next wall. I had severe a ruptured hip joint, which turns out was something that I had for a long time. I just kind of sucked it up and
Yeah.
figured old age and too much weight. And then we realized, no, that was actually an injury. And so it was not quite uncomplicated because it was actually cutting off some blood supply. So it became an
Mm-hmm.
emergency situation. So I had, during this time, had weight loss surgery.
Uh-huh.
And during that time had a hip replacement within 3 months of each other
Wow.
and got a new lease on life. And Ian could not have been, in all of his struggles, could not have been more gracious in how he
Yes.
supported me. And I would say, I can't leave. I can't leave. You might need oxygen.
Right.
He said, go run up that hill. Go right now. Go swimming. Go now.
Yeah.
And wear the tight dress, babe. That was sort of one of his
Oh,
lines that he
how
delivered a lot.
sweet.
Wear the tight dress. And so it took me, it was 2 years of somebody walking me to the cliff and saying, this is what happens. Doesn't always happen like this, but how are you going to handle it for yourself? And how are you going to adjust your life and your home?
Hmm.
And what do you get out of it? How can you turn this into a bigger conversation? And I still have it because of taking care of my dad right now.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about your taking care of your father during this time as well. And he's been with you for a number of years. Is he going to stay? Is he going to be able to stay with you, or are you looking for a senior facility for him?
He lived his life in Germany, so he doesn't have enough, capital to go with one of the big bougie places here in the US, because in Germany it was all covered by the insurance, and he doesn't have that privilege here yet
Oh,
again. So
yes.
he doesn't live here anymore. Dad moved out. Otherwise, one of us would not be alive anymore, I think. I've, I had him. I had him here living with me since I think 2016, off and on.
Oh,
And
okay. Oh,
then,
I didn't realize that. I thought he came during this
mm-mm.
time.
No, I
Oh,
had him for a long time. And he's fine. He gets around okay, needs some help, but he actually moved to a very cool place in Lancaster, Pennsylvania called Landis on King. And it's a
uh-huh.
super modern apartment building, 55 and over, but they bring in additional care as needed. So
Oh,
you
great.
can use their senior programs to have somebody come in, help with medications, help with grocery shopping, but
Oh,
he gets to live in this seriously super cool, modern one-bedroom apartment, best rooftop terrace in town, no joke. And they all get
wow.
together. So everybody shuffles down the hallway with a glass of wine and sits up on this rooftop and watches the sunset every night. And as long as they can do that, and because it's meant to be aging into the system, and you
Right.
just get more help as you need it, I feel like that's one of those kind of much more truly independent and not disenfranchising model.
Absolutely. That's fabulous. That
That's
is a fabulous
but
place.
but you know what? Had a fall and there was no grab bar in that shower. And I'm like,
You're
what
kidding.
on earth is this? So now they put one in, but I'm like, kids, I mean, everything else is ADA, it's really wide, everything is very
Yes.
accessible, but no grab bar. So
Wow.
we can
Wow.
always do better.
Black
And
Valet could help them out.
they should. Landis on King, get over there and make a deal because these guys need some help. But it's also that is where, again, I keep coming back to smart home technologies,
Hmm.
and all those great, great brands out there that should just be installed just like you'd install a light switch.
Absolutely.
Those walls
Absolutely.
need to know. The system in the house needs to know who's here, what
Hmm.
does he need? Remind him of stuff. I don't need necessarily a caregiver that comes in for an hour a day just to make sure we took
Right.
our meds.
Right.
There are better solutions, and I think we as a collective community have a real responsibility, especially right now with the world changing so rapidly, to stick our heads together and do better.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, what solutions do you see that are needed for caring for critically ill loved ones or elderly parents at home?
It's first of all, I think that's going to be the way of the future. I think be working community and family based. Again, looking back at the design itself and the architecture and where we're falling short. We're still building houses. I'm looking at thousands of spec homes being built, and we have learned nothing. They're being built exactly the way we've always built them. Here's the living room. Here's the dining room. We will never use these spaces. We're going to heat them and cool them. They're formal because they're supposed to impress somebody. But if we all have them, how impressive is that? We're not building
Absolutely.
for who we are and what we need. And we need to start doing that and create architecture that actually makes sense. The technology that's built in, I run into so many things with dad where he sits there. This is a businessman. And he says, I, I don't know how to turn the TV on. And it's a remote control that's black on black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the room should, and it can absolutely know Jim's in here right now. Hey, Jim, do you want to watch your favorite documentary? I got you. I shouldn't have, it should be really easy. The 80-20 rule of us knowing only how to operate 20% of technology on a good day, Veronika, more like 10%.
Hmm.
Um, that is shocking. We shouldn't be there anymore. If we're not using it, it has failed. So do better,
Absolutely. Well,
you know?
and I don't care what anyone says, we're all aging. Everyone's aging in place. So prepare
Hmm.
for that. You know, any design I have done in the last, I would say, 15 years, that's what I say to people. I don't care if you are 40 years old. There's going to come a day. There's going to come a time where you will need a grab bar. Maybe you don't want to put it up now, but put that block in there, put that support in there that
Hmm.
you can. And it's easy because you, of all people, Veronica, know now how hard it was to do all of that when you were in the middle of all
Yeah.
of this.
And you don't want to. And look at the shower area. It's
Yeah.
Yes, it's lovely, it's beautiful if it's tiled, but it can also be, especially in new home construction, having threshold-free showers everywhere. The amount of back and forth that I have watched doing the work I have done for 9 years for the NKBA and the international program that we've developed for them, the amount of discussion around shallow zero threshold shower trays boggled the mind. Well, it's not up to code. I'm like, really? Like 20 years into this, we're still having this conversation. If Europe can do it, we can do it too.
Hmm.
Well, it's not code in America. There was a huge falling out over this. I still have all the clippings on that. When we first
Wow.
started doing this work. Now we've adjusted to this, but we need to do this better and faster. It's a company out of the UK. You should check them out, SenseTech. They do non-slip shower trays, and they're now making their foray into the US because of this NKBA program. And it's really exciting to watch these guys work and think through how to actually make them really slip resistant. Because it's not just about the grab bar. If you don't have the strength, then the grab bar is only part of the equation. Stuff
Right.
you can't slip in the first place. So and you feel so often, dizzy and unstable. And so I had that with dad a lot, and where you just need to know that you can hold on over here, or you have certain elements in place, and or if you do fall, the walls of the house itself need to respond to you, not in hopes that you're wearing a thing around your neck, because or what?
Absolutely.
Because if
Absolutely.
you
Because,
don't, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it looks like Leslie's put on their Syntec information. But
Mhm.
what we I don't know. It's something I just feel it needs to be brought to the forefront for designers and for everyone to understand how important this is and how quickly it can come that we don't realize it. That we've got to have this focus of aging in place if that's what we really want to do. And most people do. They want to stay in their home as long as they possibly can.
They want to, and they will have to,
Yeah,
because
they will have to because
the
the
business
cost
of
is
it's terrifying.
It is
It's
terrifying. My
Yeah,
mother is in a skilled care, and we're in Arkansas, which is a rural area, and it's $6,800 a month. How,
yeah,
and in bigger cities, it's even more. It's so
yeah.
the cost of everything is, and then trying to find, like I tried to find care for her in the home before we did this, and it's so
No,
hard to find
and
care. We don't have enough.
we don't have enough, and we just got rid of another 40% of them. So
Yeah.
that's the reality that we're facing right now. So while I could lament that all day, I won't. But there is a absolute need for the home itself to,
Oh
to pick up
no.
on that.
Yeah, I thought we was frozen
No,
again. Sorry.
no, I still see it. So it's, but we can do better, and it does exist. And it's not just about grab bars. It's also not about, we have to be super careful, I think, around terminology. Um,
Hmm.
we cannot call it aging in place. We shouldn't be calling it anything at all. It's a home.
It's a
That's
home.
it. Just like we don't need to point out sustainability, it saves money if I build smart. That's all I
Build
need to
smart.
do.
Hmm.
And that is, it should be how the home should be efficient around energy, and should be efficient around how I live. And it should be a space that's designed for me, not to impress the neighbors. It can still be impressive and it can be sexy, but it needs to fill my needs. And if I need to be able to Airbnb half of it out, then give me that secondary kitchen and give me those lockable environments so I can separate space, or bring in traveling nurses, or make money
Right.
off my property as I have different needs. As an empty nester, that changes. So just build me the house with some intelligent forethought into what I may need down the road. And it's not about um, having any terminology for anything. It's just us revisiting how homes and frankly how communities are designed. They need to be designed for us, not for the builders to profit.
You always have the most elegant way of explaining anything. I have always admired that about you, but absolutely, you have hit the nail on the head. Is there anything that I have missed or something that maybe someone needs to know that you would like to share with us?
No, I think the bottom line is, yeah, don't wait for something to happen. Um, Assume something will happen.
Yeah,
Assume
assume.
that stuff starts hurting. You get past that age threshold, all of a sudden you're going, wait, I'm an active person, but ow. Um, just assume that something is going to happen and make your house beautiful and cool and just the way you want it, and don't worry so much about the resale value. Have some personality and make it suit your lifestyle now and in the future.
Absolutely. Veronica, thank you so much for sharing this. I know it's gut wrenching, heart wrenching, and so hard. And you are a very strong woman and a great example for all of us. Thank you for being on my show today.
Thanks for doing this. I love the show. It's great.
All right. Thank you, Veronica. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
Leslie. Bye.